Hi guys, it's reaction time. We've got Dokken and Fugitive. I sound a bit surprised there, don't I? So I really didn't know if we was going to get any more Dokken music ever. And it was only announced the other day. I think I saw it on Blabber Shit or Blabber Fuck, whatever it's called, Blabbermouth, saying that Dokken have got a new song coming out and a new album. So Fugitive is the single. The album's called Heaven Comes Down. On the 27th of October it's being released. Heaven Comes Down, well, a song of theirs, all you Dokken fans, well, anyone who doesn't know, When Heaven Comes Down was one of their old songs off of Tooth and Now, I believe, which was a great song. I haven't really got a problem with bands doing that sort of thing. I think it's quite cool. Dokken did it before, didn't they, with Lightning Strikes Again, and it produced one of the better latter albums of Dokken's career. So it gives me hope. It gives me hope that this new album is going to be good. So 13th studio album, Heaven Comes Down, is going to be the 13th studio album from Dokken. It says here, because I've been reading below the video, it says the long-awaited, anticipated, new Dokken album is finally done. The first single is titled Fugitive, declares Don Dokken. The inspiration for the lyrics came from what seems to be an uncertain world these days, in an up-tempo rocker, as are many on the album. I don't know what the future holds for our world, so I decided to take a step back and watch it all unfold. Yes, I guess I've become like many these days, a fugitive from life, hence the title. So it says it has, a little below it as well, it says it has a classic Dokken sound. And I think, you know, when we want to hear Dokken songs, we want to hear classic Dokken. You know, we don't want to hear something that, I think at this stage in our, you know, us fans from Dokken, and I am a fan of Dokken, we want to hear something that, you know, can sort of resemble the glory days, if you like, of Dokken. For me, especially Under Lock and Key was the height for me of Dokken. Many people sort of say Back for the Attack is like the ultimate Dokken, the classic Dokken album. Not for me, it was Under Lock and Key. I think that's where they hit their peak, in my opinion, of course. And man, I was thinking, you know, obviously there's a lot surrounding Don Dokken's voice, you know, and I've watched videos of Don live, and, you know, he's obviously a lot older. I believe he smokes, or he still does, I'm not sure, but that's obviously had an effect on his voice. Touring and all that business has had a massive effect on his vocals. And you know, when you see some of these videos of him live, he does all basically near enough talks through the song. So when I saw the news from Blabber Shit that he was coming back and they was going to do a new album, I was concerned, maybe a little bit, but at the same time, you've got to remember that when bands go into the studio, they don't sing live, you know, and some vocalists still do, but most of the time they are singing a verse at a time or a line at a time till it's perfect. So I'm sort of in that camp where I'm thinking, right, we either don't have any music from Dokken at all, because of Don Dokken's. You can't have Dokken without Don Dokken, can you? So we either don't have any music at all, or we have something. You know, no matter what it is, no matter how good his vocals are. So yeah, I'm in that camp where you've got a choice, haven't you? You don't have to like it, you don't have to listen to it. But I'm thinking, right, we'll give it a go, see how it goes. I'd rather have music than not, depending, I suppose. Depending, because I want it to sound, I want it to be good, obviously. And the influence that Dokken have had on many bands, you know, I was thinking the other day, even the recent stuff from Robbie McCauley, you know, a couple of albums he's had recently, his solo albums, loads of influence from Dokken. Some of the riffs you'd think have pulled off of Back for the Attack or Under Lock and Key. This band, Mad Max, you listen to their last album, I think it's got some Dokken influence. There's a great album by a guy called Thomas Colson's Transmission. Dokken influence, you know, so there's no doubt in the massive influence that Don Dokken and Dokken have had on people's career. There's a lot of bands now that have singers that go for that sort of softer, sort of soaring vocal that Don had. You know, sometimes I listen and I think, oh, is that Don Dokken? And then I realise it's new bands, you know. So a lot of influence there, I would say. So in the band at the moment, there's obviously Don himself, John Levin on the guitar, Chris McCarville on the bass, and BJ Zampa on the drums. So yeah, obviously John Levin's a great guitarist. Do you know what I mean? He's been with Dokken a few years now, and I'm sure he's going to do a great job on this. And I think it's, you know, expectations are that, all right, Don ain't going to be singing like he did in 1985, but as long as the songs are good and they resemble some classic Dokken, which we love. Because some of the riffs, man, as well, that came out of the early Dokken catalogue are just some of the best that's ever been written. So that's what all I'm hoping for. I'm not expecting the world when it comes to Don's vocals, but we've got to remember he's in the studio. So like you said, you can take your time. You're not doing it live. You can sing by verse, by line if you want to make it right. I mean, there's a lot of bands. I mean, even David Coverdale, I'm not being funny, he's one of the best vocalists there's ever been. But I've seen him live and I've heard the records, and I can listen to a new Whitesnake record and be quite happy listening to it. Although I know when he comes to live, he has a few problems. Motley Crue are in the studio, or have been in the studio. You know, what's Vince Neil going to sound like? So, you know, you either take it or leave it. You don't have to listen. But, you know, I like to keep up with the times. As you know, I like to react to new music. I will give my honest opinion. The only thing that scares me a little bit is, as you guys know, watch this channel, when it comes to new and up and coming bands, if it's something I don't like, I won't upload it, because it's not fair on up and coming bands. I think Dokken are big enough. If I don't like this, I will tell you that I don't like it. I'll let you know what I like and what I don't like. But I am looking forward to it. I'm really excited. And all of a sudden it's here. It's like it come out of nowhere, even though it was like announced the other day. I can't believe the first single is already here. I've spoken for 7 minutes and a bit, so that's enough now. This is Dokken and this is Fugitive. Here we go. going to stop it there, guys. I always do halfway through. Well, man, I can't fault it. I really can't. It's got that classic Dokken feel for a start. It almost feels like a track, you know, ranging from, I don't know, the Tooth and Nail period right through to the probably up from the Ashes, or from the Ashes album, what it was, the Don Dokken solo album. It's got that feel, that classic Dokken feel. There's no doubt about that. And Don Dokken's voice, even having his voice on it, will always give you that Dokken feel. No matter, you know, no matter what stage of the career, if you hear Don Dokken sing, it's unmistakable. And it's just, you know, does just sound like Dokken immediately. I really like the song. I really, really fucking like the song. I think it's great. I think it's everything that I wanted to hear. And, you know, expectations are high because of Dokken's career and it being so good. And I think they've done the perfect song. I really do, because the fans, surely, the Dokken, classic Dokken fans, are going to be really fucking happy. They haven't got something left field and they're trying to do something different. They're thinking, right, this is could possibly be the last album we do. Let's make it sound exactly like Dokken. Let's make it sound like Dokken. And they've exceeded perfectly with that, for sure. I'll tell you what I really love about this as well, is that Jon Levin, there's some great guitar breaks, obviously. Some lead breaks are brilliant on this. But it doesn't sound like he's trying to be George Lynch or anything like that. He doesn't have to be. He's a fucking great guitarist, so why would he have to be like it? But he could try to emulate the lead breaks that George Lynch has, you know, and that sort of sound that George Lynch had, and the way he broke off into solos and all that. I like Jon Levin. He sounds like his own player. Although this does sound very Dokken, he sounds like he's doing his own thing, which I fucking love. I'm so glad about that. Also, the guitar sound. Now, this might upset some Dokken fans. This could upset some Dokken fans, especially George Lynch fans, because I don't know what's happened to George Lynch's guitar sound, but on the last Sweet and Lynch album especially, it doesn't sound good. The tone is not there. George Lynch in the 80s had one of the best tones of a guitar you'd ever hear. It sounded beautiful. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that last Sweet and Lynch album. It just doesn't sound right. And also, I would say George sounds a bit fucking lazy as well on that Sweet and Lynch album. It sounds like he's half asleep. I've said this with a show with the Idiots. He sounds like... By the way, I'm not having to go because he's a brilliant guitar player. When he jumps on stage with Dokken, he sounds amazing. You know, when he jumps on stage and does Kiss of Death or whatever, it's just fucking amazing stuff. But I think when it comes to new studio stuff, I haven't been that impressed with his playing. I think he sounds, I don't know, a bit bored, I would say. And along with that bad guitar sound, ain't the best. So I think Jon Levin sounds fucking excellent on this. I think he sounds like his own thing. Do you know what I mean? But playing a Dokken song, which is, and it's cool that it just sounds exactly like Dokken. I'm so happy about that, because when I hope the whole album does. I hope it does. And obviously, thinking about Don's voice itself, obviously he's not stretching or anything like that. I think he's playing it quite safe, and so he should. Do you know what I mean? He knows his limitations. What's the point of... If he came out screaming in this like he used to in 1986 or whatever, everyone would have a go about it and say, you know, what the fuck? How can he sing like that? He can't sing like that live. But what he's doing on this, he's all obviously in that deeper range that he's got now. He's toning it right down because he knows his limitations. And you know what? We've heard him live as well. So, you know, it was probably quite a feat in the studio for him even to do this. You can hear that hoarse in his voice, that, you know, you can hear that. But he still sounds pretty like, you know, he sounds like Don Dokken though, but with a bit of a gravelly voice. That's what it sounds like to me. But love the song. Love everything about it. If this came out, this song, in that period, you know, in the 80s that I love, it would have fitted right in. It would have fitted right on one of those albums from Under Lock and Key or Back for the Attack, or it would have fitted in perfectly on any of those albums. So that's what we wanted. We wanted to hear Dokken sound like Dokken, because they're such an influential band. Why would they want to sound like someone else? They need to sound like Dokken, and that's what we've got. I think it's fucking excellent. Here we go for the rest, guys. Really looking forward to the solo as well. Let's really hear John Levin give it some in the solo. Here we go. Brilliant, man. Love the solo, man. Just loved it. So he can play anything, so it's nice to hear him just fucking shredding at times, and then being so, like, you know, some melodic things going on in there. You know, the melody on the solo was perfect. I love the little bit in the chorus when he's doing that little sort of twin lead bit, just typical Dokken stuff. Fucking brilliant, man. I don't think I could have asked for any more than that. You know, after hearing Don, you know, and his health issues, and hearing him live, I was not, I weren't concerned. I knew that he could go in the studio and he wouldn't release something where, you know, he was that bad. He would try in the studio and try and get something out as best he could. And I think he's done that. And I think the band have done that with the songwriting. I think it's they've really, really said, let's fucking create that classic Dokken sound. And why not? Because they're so influential, like I said. Man, that was fantastic. That was Dokken. That was Fugitive. Heaven Comes Down is coming out on the 27th of October. Like I said, it's the 13th studio album from this classic band. There's one thing, one negative, I would say, and it's not a massive thing. It could have been worse, and I think they could have got, you could tell this is Kevin Shirley's production. Iron Maiden, Kevin Shirley mixed this. He didn't produce it, I think he just mixed it. But sometimes, man, music can suffer a little bit because of that. It sounds a little bit dry. It sounds a little bit flat. And that's nothing to do with the songwriting or the band. I think that's just the sound. Even the snare drum sounds a little bit, I don't know, it sounds a little bit like it's in a bit of an empty room sort of thing. So not the greatest sounding Dokken song, I would say. But a fucking great song nonetheless. I'm a bit disappointed they went for Kevin Shirley, to tell you the truth. There's lots of producers out there, you know, that could have mixed this, or a lot of engineers that could have mixed this better, I think. But that's only my opinion. Only one little negative. I just think it could have sounded better. But the band, Don done excellent on it. Love the song. Let me know, guys, what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you soon.